Today we are in the United Nations place in the Geneva with Dr. Aaron Rhodes, who is the president of the Forum for the Religious Freedom in the Europe, which is an NGO based in Vienna, and we appreciate his time that he gave us today. We would like to ask him about the human rights issues in Iran, especially about the ethnics who are suffering from suppression, from torture. We welcome you, Mr. Rhodes. We would like to ask you about today it was a match between Fulad, which is from Ahwazi city, and another Al Hilal from Saudi Arabia. And we saw that there are arbitrary arrests. How do you describe this situation against the Iranian government, which says that there is a freedom of speech?
The Iranian state is generally very intolerant of all kinds of minorities, whether they be ethnic minorities, religious minorities, or minorities based on what people believe, political beliefs. And the Ahwazi Arabs are some of the most unfortunate victims of this policy. These arrests at this football match were completely arbitrary and are just a form of persecution.
And about the Iranian propaganda, it says that there is no execution. But when we look at the reports, it says that it's something different. How do you clarify the execution in Iran, especially against the ethnic groups?
They suffer disproportionately from Iran's excessive use of the death penalty. Iran has the worst record in the entire world when it comes to the death penalty. They have the highest per capita execution rate in the world. And I think it's fair to say that the majority of these executions have taken place following unfair trials. And people are executed for crimes which do not reach the threshold appropriate for the use of the death penalty, even if you do accept it as a legitimate punishment.
And it's apart from the execution, there are arbitrary arrests which is done against Ahwazi Arab. But in recent, the WHO World Health Organization recognized as the Ahwaz is the most polluted city in the world. There are, of course, there are some catastrophic atrocities which come back to the Ahwazi. How do you see these water diversion and by being most polluted city in the world?
I was shocked to learn about the situation of the environmental degradation in that region, and the suffering that this group endures because of this pollution. The water from the region has been diverted to other areas, and the result is concentrations of toxic substances and that have a very negative effect on the health, especially of, for example, pregnant women who very often miscarry as a result of these concentrations of pollutants.
And how do you describe these this year, the United Nations 28th session for in general about Iran? How do you rate?
I haven't seen everything. I've just been here for not so long. I haven't seen all the discussions that took place, but the fact is that not much changes in Iran with regard to human rights. In fact, many say that during the course of Iran's long nuclear discussions with members of the international community, that the human rights situation has deteriorated. And I'm concerned that in the effort to convince Iran not to develop nuclear weapons, the human rights question has been kind of pushed off the table. And also with regard to Iran's role in Iraq and military in Syria and combating the Islamic State, Iran is becoming more and more legitimated as a kind of partner in the international community in the war against terrorism and so on. And Iran's relationship with the international community seems to be normalizing. And then you have to wonder, are all these human rights violations going to be simply swept under the rug? Are they going to be considered normal and accepted? And I think this would be a tragedy.
Thank you, Dr. Aaron Rhodes, the president of Forum for the Religious Freedom in the Europe. Thank you so much. Thanks.